Hey, welcome back to Two Ring History, the podcast where we prove that any random date contains enough drama to power a Netflix series. I'm Lane.
And I'm a Netflix series myself, Dave. And before we dive into a day that gave us everything, from the Constitution to space tourism, wait for it, lab-grown chicken, we need to talk about Randy's Donuts.
Wow, that's a segue from the founding of America to donuts?
Yeah, sure, it's America. What's more American, Lane, when you're about
I
to
don't know,
discuss
Dave.
constitutional ratification, World War II submarine attacks, and the birth of commercial space flight all in one episode? You need fuel that's been perfected over 7 decades, my friend. Randy's Donuts doesn't just make donuts, they make reliable excellence. Oh yeah!
That giant donut on La Cienega isn't just a landmark, it's a promise. Fresh donuts made by people who've turned sugar and dough into an art form since 1952.
Yeah, I like promises like that. Check them out at randysdonuts.com because when history gets this wild, you deserve snacks that are equally legendary.
And today's history is wild. June 21st, the day America's Constitution became real, plus civil rights tragedy, papal elections. I originally thought that was PayPal elections. I'm like,
PayPal,
what, Peter
yes.
Thiel and Elon Musk
That's
they
right.
got elected? And humanity's first private trip to space.
Ooh, private trips to space. Wonder how much that costs. Let's start with birthdays because June
Yay!
21st produced some serious star power. Prince William turns 42 today, future King of England, current Duke of Cambridge, and proof that royal genetics can survive tabloid scrutiny.
Plus, we've got Chris Pratt at 46, who went from Parks and Recreation goofball to Marvel superhero to dinosaur trainer. That's some range.
Yeah, he's a great actor. And then there's Lana Del Rey, who turns 40, bringing us dreamy vocals and vintage American imagery that somehow makes melancholy sound luxurious. Ooh.
And Blake Shelton's 49, country music star, and proof that being genuinely charming on TV can make you more famous than your actual job.
Too bad that doesn't translate to podcasts.
I know, or we'd be rich, Dave.
That's right. Oh, and Jussie Smollett's 43. We're not going to spend much time on that one.
Sometimes the birthday list writes itself into awkward territory. Moving on.
Yes, moving on. June 21st, 1788, the U.S. Constitution. Sorry, my denture slipped there. The U.S. Constitution there they go again, officially goes into effect, which is kind of amazing when you think about it. They'd been operating under the Articles of Confederation, which was basically trying to run a country through a group text. Interesting analogy.
You know what's wild?
What?
New Hampshire was the 9th state to ratify it on this exact day, hitting the magic number to make it official. The founding fathers were basically holding their breath waiting for that 9th vote.
That's totally wild! The Articles of Confederation gave the federal government roughly the power of a neighborhood association. Great. We were the earliest form of an HOA. Can't tax anyone, can't regulate trade between states, can't really do anything. Get off my lawn!
We can tell you what color your mailbox can be.
That's
Don't
right.
paint that red. That's not allowed.
Excuse me, Hepzibah, your garage door's open.
They had mailboxes, but no postal service yet.
Yeah.
They knew it was coming, though. They needed to be ready. So they're sitting there in 1788 like, well, this democracy experiment either works starting now or we're going to have 13 separate countries that share a really awkward border situation.
Which is what we basically have now. What gets me is how they just figured it out. No template for modern democratic government, although the Romans were close. Just a bunch of guys in wigs saying, well, what's that climbing out of your hair, Silas? No, I mean, what if we try separation of powers and see what happens?
And somehow it worked, sort of. I mean, we're still arguing about what they meant, but the basic structure held up.
Ooh, and
for
times, now. Yes, it's been a little shaky, but for now, June 21st, 1942, getting to a different era, a Japanese submarine surfaces off the Oregon coast and shells Fort Stevens. Whoa, were they off the mark? Ha! This is literally the only hostile shelling of a U.S. military base in the continental United States during World War II, and it was foggy and raining. Gee, shall we go turn around?
Picture this. You're stationed on this coastal fort in Oregon. It's the middle of World War II, and suddenly there's a Japanese submarine just shooting at you from the ocean on the American West Coast.
Yeah, can you imagine? What the heck? No, it can't be. That's a whale. No, it's not. It's a sub. It's a whale, Jimmy. I'm telling you. The I-25 submarine fired 17 shells. Damage was minimal. I think they got a few rocks, some barbed wire, a baseball backstop at the fort. But psychologically, this was huge. They were having parties all night in Tokyo.
Yeah, Americans had been told the mainland was safe from attack. Then, boom, actual enemy fire hitting American soil. Not Pearl Harbor, which was a territory, but Oregon, which was definitely part of the United States.
Yeah, and what was fascinating is how the military responded. Get this. They ordered a complete blackout. No returning fire, no lights, total radio silence, as if they didn't want it to even happen. They didn't want to give the submarine better targeting information.
That's interesting. Can you imagine being the commander making that call? Sir, we're under attack. Great.
Shut everything down.
Turn off all the lights and don't shoot back. That takes nerves.
The same submarine later started forest fires in Oregon and California with incendiary bombs dropped from a seaplane. Wow, it had a plane on board. That's interesting. The only deaths from enemy action on the continental U.S. during World War II were from those forest fires.
No, that's not true. We covered the hot air balloons
That's right.
Came over, and they were actual balloon bots that descended and had barometric pressure that triggered TNT. And there was an unfortunate family, and it was in the Pacific Northwest too. I forget if it was in Oregon or Washington. But one of those balloons came down and the bombs hadn't exploded yet. And the kids came across it, found it, started messing with it, took out the whole family.
Yes, but that's for another day.
I know, but I'm just fact checking ourselves real time, Dave.
Yeah.
There were other deaths.
Go have a donut. June 21st, 1964, we talk about James Chaney, Andrew Goodman, and Michael Schwerner. Three civil rights. Sorry. But I shouldn't have those beers in the morning. 3 civil rights workers murdered in Mississippi during Freedom Summer.
They were registering black voters in Philadelphia, Mississippi, and Chaney was local, 21 years old. Goodman and Schwerner were from New York. And they were volunteering for the summer, and they disappeared after investigating a church bombing.
Yes, Mickey Schwerner from Pelham, New York. The FBI investigation revealed they'd been murdered by the Ku Klux Klan with help from local law enforcement. Ooh, bad people. The deputy sheriff was involved in the killings.
Did he shoot him graveyard dead, Dave?
I think they did, but he got caught.
Their deaths shocked the nation and helped build support for the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Sometimes tragedy becomes the catalyst for change that should have happened already.
Oh, yes, happens more often than we want. It's a reminder that the right to vote, something we take for granted and should not, people died for it. Literally died trying to help other Americans exercise their basic constitutional right.
Yeah, there's a lot of tragedy in history, isn't there, Dave?
Yes, speaking of death by self-immolation.
Yeah, June 21st, 1954, British Medical Journal publishes Richard Dahl's study definitively linking smoking to lung cancer. This is the moment when smoking might be bad for you became smoking will kill you.
Yes, how does a guy with such a sweet, loving name be the Death Meister?
Oh, Richard Dahl, you're such a doll.
I'm Dr. Dahl. Yeah, so what's incredible is the tobacco industry's response. Come on. It's not
that incredible. It's kind of right?
They knew it was coming. Their own research showed the same thing, but they spent the next 50 years denying it.
Yeah, Dahl tracked British doctors for years.
Creepy. Dahl's tracked British. Oh, sorry. Go
ahead. Doctors who smoked were dying of lung cancer at massively higher rates than non-smokers. Hard to argue with that data.
Yeah, but here's the one that gets me. Cigarette companies had figured this out internally by the early 50s. They had the same research, knew their product was deadly, ticking time bomb, and decided to fight the science instead of changing the product. Pinto, anybody?
Yeah, it's like the perfect case study in how economic interests can override public health for decades, even when the evidence is overwhelming.
Yeah, well, although credit's where it's due, once the evidence became undeniable, smoking rates did drop dramatically from about 45% of adults in the 1950s to under 15% today.
Yeah, but
I
I'm
know.
pretty sure vaping's making a comeback.
It's
So they
true.
only missed one generation.
Yeah.
Now for advertising history, shall we?
Yes.
1835, the first large format billboard gets printed in Ohio. Just a simple circus advertisement, but it basically invented outdoor advertising as we know it.
Yeah, well, Ohio is the center for test marketing because it's the center of the country and it's very diverse. And I mean, before this, advertising was mostly before this, advertising was mostly newspaper ads and handbills. Can you imagine? Someone looked at a blank wall and thought, "What if we made the advertisement bigger than a person?" Oh,
The circus was perfect for this. Colorful, exciting, visual. You're not going to put your grocery prices on a billboard, but a lion tamer? That works big.
yeah. I mean, if there hadn't been elephants, the thing would have been not as big, but they needed the room. What's funny is how this connects to social media. The billboard was the first advertising you couldn't ignore or throw away. It was in your face and you couldn't pick it up and dump it. It was just there, whether you wanted to see it or not. Oh my God, there it is again.
Like the ancestor of pop up ads, but with better artwork, and you had to leave your house to be annoyed by it.
That's true. But let's get on to Ferris wheels, shall
Ah,
we?
this is one of my favorites. This is a
Yes,
good one.
June 21st, 1893, the first Ferris wheel gets promoted at the Chicago World's Fair. George Washington Gale Ferris, now there's a name for you, basically said, "Hey, what if we made a giant wheel that people could ride in circles?" That'll
Yeah, this
never work. They'll get sick.
yeah, this was America's answer to the Eiffel Tower. The French built this amazing iron structure for their exposition, so Chicago was like, "Hold our beer. We're gonna build a giant spinning wheel."
The Bears. It was 264 feet tall, could hold over 2,000 people, and cost 50 cents to ride, which was serious money in 1893. But here's the thing 1.5 million people paid it anyway.
You
Serious
know what I
dough,
love
too.
about this, Dave?
What? What?
It's
What?
pure American engineering optimism.
That's
Let's
right.
put people in boxes and spin them around really high in the air. What could go wrong?
Yeah, and it worked. Ferris wheels became the global phenomenon. Every carnival, every fair, every boardwalk, there's usually a Ferris wheel. All because one guy in Chicago thought that big circles might be fun to get stuck in.
Although I have to ask, who was the first person brave enough to get on it? Like, someone had to be the guinea pig for that giant spinning wheel technology.
Well, I think they just went into a bar and pulled off the nearest drunk and threw him in there.
They just drew straws.
Yeah. Hey, Phil, hop
Guess what?
into this thing. It's going to move a little, but don't worry. Oh, and
Phil's going for a ride.
here's a bag to get sick in. Speaking of things that have stood the test of time, let's talk about Randy's Donuts, the most reliable
Hmm.
pleasure in Los Angeles. Yes.
Absolutely. While other food trends come and go, Randy's has been perfecting the art of the donut for over 70 years. That's commitment to craft that you can taste.
And taste you will, because there's classic glaze that melts in your mouth, innovative seasonal flavors, and 24-hour availability for those moments when you need sugar powered fuel at 3 a.m. Head to
Yeah,
Randy's!
no algorithms, no viral marketing schemes, just consistently excellent donuts made by people who take pride in their work. In our chaotic modern world, that kind of reliability is actually revolutionary.
Revolutionary! Check them out at randysdonuts.com, where the marketing strategy is simple: make amazing donuts, put up a giant donut, and watch customers become regulars for life.
Yeah, revolutionary. It's kind of like the Ferris wheel. It goes around and around. And
Oh,
I would love
stop.
it if they turned Randy's Donut, that giant sign, into a Ferris wheel that kids could ride when they get donuts there. Wouldn't that be a great idea, Dave?
Yes, or lit it up so that you could see it from even further places and spin it around. Oh, we're going to make it happen, Lane.
We have so many good ideas, Dave.
Oh,
Okay,
yes.
let's get back in our box and
Yeah.
go back to 1834, where Cyrus McCormick patents the mechanical reaper, basically inventing modern agriculture. Before this, harvesting grain was backbreaking manual labor.
Yes. But now you have the Reaper, whatever the heck that is. One person
Sounds
with a
grim.
scythe. could harvest about 2 acres per day. McCormick's Reaper could do 10 acres a day. That's not improvement. That's transformation. That's revolutionary.
What gets me is how this connects to everything else. More efficient farming means fewer people needed on farms, which means more people available for factories, which powers the Industrial Revolution.
Which makes more donuts. Yes.
Ooh.
And it made America a global agricultural superpower. Yes, the Midwest could suddenly feed the world, not just itself. One invention changed global food production forever.
Although I wonder what the first farmers thought when they saw this mechanical contraption. You want me to trust my harvest to a machine?
Yeah, what are all my kids gonna do? Video games haven't been invented yet. Probably the same reaction people had to computers, smartphones, or self driving cars. This seems unnecessarily complicated, followed by, how did we ever live without this?
Yeah. It's funny how it creeps in that way. Speaking of,
Well,
speaking of
speaking of
creeps.
creeps, June 21st, 1963, Cardinal Giovanni Montini becomes Pope Paul VI, taking over during one of the most transformative periods in the Catholic Church history.
Yeah, he inherited the Second Vatican Council from Pope John the 23rd. How does, oh, yeah, because it's John, not Paul. So John and
Yeah,
Paul. Yeah.
yeah. Not
He,
Ringo. He wasn't made Pope yet.
I know, I'm confused. And he had to figure out how to modernize a 2,000-year-old institution without breaking it.
Well, here's the thing. Vatican II was basically the Catholic Church's attempt to engage with the modern world. No more Latin Mass, done in local languages now, encouraging dialogue with other religions, acknowledging that maybe the church should listen to lay people sometimes. Huh?
Yeah, Paul VI had to navigate between traditionalists who thought any change was heresy and progressives who wanted to revolutionize everything. Classic middle management problems, but with global consequences.
Yes. He was also the first pope to travel extensively. He went on Ferris wheels, I bet. He went to 6 continents, spoke to the United Nations. I mean, before this, popes mostly stayed in Rome and let the world come to them.
Although he's probably most remembered for the birth control encyclical that reaffirmed the church's opposition to artificial contraception. That was controversial.
And yes, it still is. But let's talk about spaceships, shall we?
Yeah, let's go to space, Dave.
Yes, June 21st, 2004, Spaceship One, completes the first privately funded manned spaceflight. Burt Rutan and Paul Allen basically said, why should only governments get to go to space? I'm a
Yeah.
billionaire. I can do it.
Yeah, Mike Melville piloted this thing to 100 kilometers above Earth, officially space, and landed safely. This wasn't NASA, wasn't the military, just private citizens with engineering skills and serious money.
Yeah, that's for sure. The Ansari X Prize offered $10 million to the first private team to reach space twice within 2 weeks. Spaceship One won it, proving commercial space travel was possible. Can you imagine that trip? Okay, we did it. We got to go back up? Oh, no.
Yeah, and what's wild is how this connects to today. Spaceship One led to Virgin Galactic. Good old Sir Richard Branson came in for
Yeah.
the second flight and sponsored Spaceship One with the Virgin Galactic logo, hoping that they would be successful, and they were. And
Yes.
that led to SpaceX, which led to routine commercial space missions. This one flight changed everything.
Yeah, and now everybody's going. Geez, even Captain Kirk went up. Although we can talk about how brave Mike Melville was, he's strapped to an experimental rocket built by private contractors going where only professional astronauts had gone before. Oh, if only that submersible to the Titanic had a little better building process, huh?
Yeah. And marketing people at M&M Mars, are you paying attention? He brought M&Ms as his official payload because if you're making history, you might as well have snacks.
That's right. Who do you think he was? E.T.? I love that detail. The first private astronaut packed candy for the trip. How American. That's the most relatable thing about space exploration I've ever heard.
Yeah. Speaking of American kinds of things, 1997, June 21st, the WNBA plays its inaugural game. The New York Liberty defeats the Los Angeles Sparks 67-57. Women's professional basketball finally gets a real league.
This took forever to happen. The NBA had been around since 1946, but it took until 1997 for women to get a professional league with actual funding and TV coverage. About time.
The inaugural season had 8 teams and some serious star power. Lisa Leslie, Cheryl Swoops, Rebecca Lobo, these were already household names from college and Olympic basketball.
And what's impressive is how quickly it established itself. The first game drew over 1 million TV viewers, proving there was definitely an audience for women's professional sports.
Although the pay disparity was significant. WNBA players were making around $15,000 to $50,000 per year, while NBA minimums were over $270,000.
Still true today, unfortunately, but the league has grown steadily. Better attendance, better TV deals, more recognition. Progress is slow, but it's definitely progress.
Yeah. Let's progress to 2010, shall we?
Yes. 2010, authorities foil a car bombing attempt at Times Square. Faisal Shahzad, the Shahzad, had loaded an SUV with explosives and parked it in one of the busiest places on earth, Times Square.
What's incredible is how it was discovered. Street vendors noticed smoke coming from the vehicle and alerted police. Not high-tech surveillance, just hot dog vendors paying attention to what's going on.
Yeah, well, the bomb failed to detonate properly, but it was a real threat. Times Square on a Saturday evening. Thousands of people, tourists, families. It could have been catastrophic.
Shahzad was arrested 53 hours later trying to board a flight to Dubai. The investigation moved incredibly fast once they had the vehicle.
Yes, it went and moves as fast as Shahzad. It's one of those reminders that security often depends on ordinary people, hot dog vendors, being alert and willing to speak up when something seems wrong. Wait a minute. He didn't ask for a piccalilli with that dog.
I don't even know what piccalilli is.
He didn't either.
Although it also shows how vulnerable crowded public spaces really are. Times Square has incredible security now, but you can't protect everywhere all the time.
Yes, it's true. Let's go on to cell-grown chicken lane.
Oh, that's my favorite day. Finally, June 21st, 2023, the USDA approves the first cell-grown chicken for commercial sale in the United States. We're now living in the future where you can eat meat that never came from a living animal. That sounds great.
Boy, that's appetizing, isn't it? Huh, I'd rather have a donut, frankly. Lab-grown chicken. They take cells from a chicken, grow them in bioreactors, yikes, and produce actual chicken meat without raising and slaughtering chickens. Whoa.
2 companies got approval, Good Meat and Upside Foods. both very optimistic brand names.
Test marketing done there, huh?
You can actually order this at select restaurants now, although it's expensive and limited in distribution.
That's right. Actually, I want to try the bad meat and downside foods. Okay. What's fascinating is the regulatory challenge. How do you approve something that's technically meat, but produced completely differently? Gotcha. The FDA and USDA had to create entirely new categories.
Yeah, environmental impact could be huge. Less land use, less water, dramatically fewer greenhouse gas emissions, plus no animal welfare concerns since no animals were harmed, and probably no bird flu and stuff either.
Yeah, no cow farts either, or cow burps, rather. Although I have to ask, does it taste like chicken?
Of course it does, Dave.
Because if we're engineering meat in laboratories, can we make it taste better than regular chicken?
Early reviews say it's pretty close to regular chicken, which is honestly impressive for what's essentially science fiction made edible.
That's right. That's why wherever it's served, there are giant salt shakers. I love that we went from Constitution to lab-grown meat in one episode. It's incredible. That's the range of human innovation right there.
That's true. So there you have it, June 21st, from the Constitution becoming real to lab-grown chicken becoming dinner with submarine attacks and space tourism in between.
Wow, history's amazing, isn't it? But what strikes me is how many of these events were people saying, oh, what if we tried something completely different? Constitutional government, mechanical farming, private space flight, artificial meat. Wow, all crazy ideas that worked.
Although some crazy ideas also involve murdering civil rights workers and bombing Times Square. So let's appreciate the good crazy and stay vigilant about the bad crazy.
That's right. That's why we have donuts. Speaking of consistently good ideas, Randy's Donuts has been proving that perfection doesn't need reinventing since 1952. Check them out at randysdonuts.com.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. We'll be back next time with more historical coincidences and probably more tangents about food innovation.
Yes, till then, I'm Dave.
And I'm Lane, reminding you that history is just people making decisions about Constitution, space travel, and what exactly counts as chicken.
That's right, bad food. Bye.
Bye.